Many of us take it for granted. Dial 911 for a medical emergency and an ambulance will arrive within minutes. But our investigation found in Philadelphia that can be a leap of faith.
They didn't get there for 41 minutes.
Candy Owen says she'll never trust 911 again. On Mother's Day 3 years ago, her 21-year-old son Danny Rumpf collapsed on a basketball court in Mount Airy. He went into cardiac arrest. Every single second counted. But the medics who finally reached Rumpf drove all the way from South Philly, even though 2 firehouses are only blocks away. By the time the ambulance got there, it was too late.
I know it was Mother's Day, but what possibly was going on in the city that they had to come from so far. You know, I mean, that was all the way across one end of the city to the next.
Danny Rumpf was not the first victim to die waiting for an ambulance in Philadelphia, nor was he the last.
At certain times of the day, you do not want to get sick in Philadelphia.
This paramedic wants us to protect his identity because he's afraid he'll lose his job for speaking out. He says the Philadelphia Fire Department, which oversees the city's emergency medical services, runs out of ambulances on a regular basis.
Which means every medic in the city is already on a call. If another call comes in, they'll send the fire truck.
That's what happened on New Year's Eve when Deborah Payne called 911 from her Holmesburg apartment. She was having trouble breathing. A fire truck arrived within 7 minutes, but it took 52 minutes before an ambulance got there. And then it broke down. By the time a second ambulance arrived almost an hour later, she was dead.
You had a situation that was, I've heard it termed the perfect storm. Who could see it? Who could be the soothsayer and see it?
But that's exactly what the Philadelphia City Controller's office warned against in this report released just 11 days before Deborah Payne died. The report found nearly 1/3 of the time ambulances took 10 minutes or longer to get to a patient in need. Investigators blame the delays on too many calls and not enough ambulances. And those ambulances are handling so many runs, they're breaking down. So what happened to Deborah Payne?
Definitely, it can happen again, especially on a really busy Saturday night.
What's the emergency?
I have something stuck in my foot, splinter, and it's not coming out. I got the tweezers and everything, and I can't get it out.
A big part of the problem is 911 calls like that one.
What seems to be the problem now?
Dispatchers send medics to just about every call they get.
Philadelphia Fire Department dispatcher 830. Where is your emergency?
My ear, a piece of cotton got in my ear and went down.
Philadelphia Fire Department officials gave Fox 29 an audio tape of several calls they say were anything but real emergencies, like a piece of cotton stuck in a woman's ear.
Are you having any difficulty breathing, ma'am?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. We have somebody on the way, okay?
Thanks.
Does she need some type of medical attention? Yes. But does it need to be 911? Probably not.
But you still send a medic unit. Why?
Because that's the protocol we currently follow.
The calls have outgrown the system.
How about his breathing? Is breathing okay?
That call volume has jumped dramatically over the last decade. From 1999 to 2006, Philadelphia's EMS system saw a nearly 30% increase in call responses. But the vast majority of those 911 calls were not true emergencies.
Philadelphia, the fire commissioner said that figure is 80%. And all they're doing in Philadelphia is asking people to voluntarily, please don't do it.
The city controller is talking about an education campaign the fire department launched earlier this year, which urges the public not to abuse the 911 system.
All right, did you fall? Is that what happened?
But in Monmouth and Ocean counties, where the EMS system serves 2 million people, the same number as Philadelphia's daytime population, they don't rely on appeals for good faith.
First name?
Instead, they train their 911 dispatchers to root out the non-emergencies. If a caller says he's having trouble breathing, a phrase that's guaranteed to get an ambulance in Philadelphia, these dispatchers ask more questions.
The wound just opened up?
And they listen carefully.
We can hear what they're saying. We can hear anxiety in their voice or not hear anxiety in their voice. We can hear if they're short of breath or not short of breath.
Monarch, as it's called, also relies on the latest technology, which Philadelphia does not use. Dispatchers type in the caller's address, and the computer screen immediately kicks back important information.
Up will come history. That we have had repeated calls from that address, and it will be able to tell us what days of the week and what time of the day we've had those calls.
Can you hang on a second?
So a dispatcher can determine almost immediately whether the caller is a chronic 911 abuser. The system works. Monarch has cut the number of non-emergency 911 responses to just 15%. That means there are more ambulances available for the real emergencies.
You don't get the sense that we're on top of it in the same way.
Thank you for calling Monarch and Cole speaking. How may I help you?
Especially when you see how Monarch handles the 911 calls it does respond to. In Philly, it's first come, first served.
I had severe diarrhea, and my doctor was afraid that I was dehydrated.
The 911 dispatcher sent medics out to see her, and if another more urgent call came in while they were there, that caller may have had to wait for the next available ambulance, just like Danny Rumpf had to wait.
It's interesting that some of the responses we got from the fire department indicated that the reason they do first come, first serve is because of concerns that they would be sued. Philadelphia and other cities really can't be sued very easily, even for negligence. There's a $250,000 limit on their ability to be sued.
And insurance information?
Monarch relies on a different approach. Dispatchers prioritize their 911 calls, sending ambulances to the most urgent ones first.
It's much better to do that than a first come, first serve, because then that's just potluck. You're just taking a randomized approach to it, and the individual that has the heart attack may be the 50th caller, and he may die from a heart attack when someone who has a stubbed toe got an ambulance.
Seems like common sense.
It is common sense.
Where's your emergency?
And yet the problems persist in Philadelphia. 14 years ago, a task force convened by then-Mayor Ed Rendell warned that the city's EMS system was under strain and needed to change. Philadelphia's current fire commissioner, Lloyd Ayers, sat on that task force, which recommended, among other things, the appointment of a professional EMS manager at the deputy commissioner level. It still hasn't happened.
There's a very fatalistic attitude that seems to be very inbred in Philadelphia that goes to one of two extremes. Either the problem is not great enough that we really have to worry about it, or there's nothing that could be done about it anyway.
It can't keep going on like this. You know, people just, it's not fair. You know, the people just have to wait and lay and die while they're waiting for a rescue squad.